Charles Duhigg's book, Smarter, Faster, Better, examines 8 distinct ideas and how they might improve your life. Describing the secrets to increasing productivity, inspiration, concentration, collaboration, goal setting, people management, decision-making, creativity, and at the end, information absorption. Anyone who wants to increase their productivity and make better decisions and acts in both business and life should definitely read this book. For whom is this book intended? Anyone who wants to increase their productivity and make better decisions and acts in both business and life should definitely read this book. Charles Duhigg examines 8 different concepts in his book Smarter, Faster, Better and discusses how they might improve your life. Duhigg thoroughly examines the science underlying productivity and outlines the steps you should take to increase it. Charles Duhigg was born in the United States. He attended Harvard and Yale as a student. From 2006 to 2011, Duhigg, an award-winning business correspondent for the New York Times, was employed there. While in Baghdad, Duhigg developed an interest in the psychology and science of habit building. Following considerable observation and conversation with a U.S. military major, Duhigg was informed that the most crucial lesson he had learned throughout his military tenure was the need of recognizing habits. After spending time in Baghdad, Duhigg authored his first book, The Power of Habit. He later explained the science of productivity in Smarter, Faster, Better. In his book, Duhigg lists the 8 secrets to increasing productivity. Each of the ideas will be summed up in this summary, beginning with motivation, concentration, teamwork, goal setting, managing people, decision-making, creativity, and lastly, information absorption. Chapter 1. Motivation. Duhigg's first secret to increasing productivity is motivation. He describes the new job market, which is characterized by a large number of freelancers and a decline in permanent employment. Businesses and employees agree that motivation is more important now than it has ever been. Successful people in this market must be able to motivate themselves. They cannot succeed in this market by depending on others to tell them what to do or to motivate them. According to Duhigg, motivation is genuinely a skill. Despite the fact that a lot of self-help books claim that drive is a personality trait we all possess from birth, science has shown that motivation is a learned skill with deeper roots and is more complex. Motivation is a skill that can be acquired and improved over time, just like reading and writing. Scientists think that if people develop and practice this skill, they may undoubtedly increase their motivation. A key component of self-motivation is control. Studies have indicated that feeling in charge of your own life and actions is a prerequisite for self-motivation. Being in charge prevents you from being self-motivated. People are more likely to push themselves and put in more effort when they feel in control. They typically conquer obstacles more quickly and with greater confidence. According to Duhigg, there are methods by which we can take the necessary control over our lives. Choosing what to do is one method. He says that taking action, no matter how big or small, shows yourself that you are in charge of your own fate. Refrain from allowing others to decide for you. Making decisions is a way to demonstrate your independence. When we exert our power over our life and make it a mental habit to turn tasks into meaningful decisions, we develop an internal locus of control. According to Duhigg, those who lack motivation frequently exhibit emotional numbness, as defined by neurologists. This can occur in 2 distinct circumstances. 1. People lose motivation, cease making decisions, and forget how good it feels to be in charge. 2. In such instances, people were never exposed to the experience of being self-governing. If you were raised with limited options, your lack of motivation is likely due to this. Control, according to Duhigg, is essential for assisting oneself and regaining drive. Another way we can support others is by praising and recognizing self-motivated individuals. That is the reason you give a small child who tries to feed themselves a reward. Our ability to be self-motivated can diminish if we don't exercise self-determination and treat ourselves to emotional incentives for subversive assertiveness. Demonstrating to yourself that the decisions you make have purpose is one of the most crucial steps towards increasing motivation and control. Spend some time thinking about your decision-making process rather than just selecting a choice and moving on. It's critical to understand that every choice you make, no matter how minor, shapes who you are. Prove to yourself that you are in charge at all times and that you are making meaningful decisions. Put differently, self-motivation refers to the decision we make because it is a part of something greater and more emotionally fulfilling than the task at hand. Chapter 2. Teams. The value of teamwork is the second secret Duhigg discusses. He emphasizes that the team's cohesiveness is more important than the individual members on the team. He exposes the myth of the superstar, saying that everyone believes their team needs a superstar. We squander time and energy searching for one, missing out on a lot more deserving applicants. Duhigg emphasizes that, with proper teamwork, even a group of mediocre performers may accomplish remarkable things. Ensuring that every member of the team feels heard is one of the key elements of a successful team. Make sure that everyone on the team feels heard and involved, because nobody likes to feel overlooked. 1. A group must comprehend the significance of their effort. 2. It's critical to realize the significance of the job. 3. Roles and goals must be made explicit. 4. The team must have mutual trust. 5. Psychological safety is necessary for teams. According to Duhigg, psychological safety is the most crucial component that any team should have. Furthermore, it is the team leader's duty to guarantee that each member has a sense of security and safety. To guarantee that everyone feels psychologically safe, leaders must set a positive example and model specific behaviors such as 1. An interrupter should never be a leader. 2. Effective listening skills and the capacity to paraphrase what they have heard are essential for leaders. 3. A competent leader is open and honest, owning up to their mistakes and ignorance. 4. A team leader should make sure that each member has a chance to be heard at a meeting. 5. Leaders must promote candid communication and assist in resolving disputes. 6. Team leaders and members must show empathy for the feelings of others. When members demonstrate empathy for one another's feelings, and when they all feel free to voice their opinions, teams thrive. For debates to be constructive rather than harmful, the appropriate rules must be in place. A team can never get stronger otherwise. We've talked about how crucial control is to developing self-motivation. Psychological safety is crucial for teams because it is common for members to delegate authority to one another. And confidence is absolutely essential in these kinds of situations. Chapter 3. Focus. According to Duhigg, automation has a big impact on human capacity for concentration. He describes how automation has gotten so ingrained in our life, and how technology has become such an integral part of it. Our subconscious determines what needs to be paid attention to and what can be ignored, allowing us to multitask thanks to cognitive automations. But according to Duhigg, the more automation we allow into our lives, the greater the chance that our attention spans will fail us. Your brain's attention span can be compared to a spotlight that can be narrowly focused or widely dispersed. Our intentions determine how long we can focus. Most of the time we get to decide whether the spotlight should be focused or left loose. According to Duhigg, this focus is shortening our attention spans. When we put technology on autopilot or let it take care of us, our brains take advantage of the chance to save energy and turn down the lights. Our brain is thus abruptly thrown into full light mode when an emergency occurs or something pressing comes up at work, deceiving us into believing we are safe. This abrupt change in concentration implies that even when something doesn't require your attention right now, you'll probably pay attention to the most obvious inputs. And Duhigg refers to this phenomenon as cognitive tunneling. When you are concentrating on the current work at hand or something that is right in front of you, cognitive tunneling happens. Your concentration is diminished by this tunnel, causing you to work on the task that is easiest and most obvious. All common sense is abandoned. According to Duhigg, the way we form habits is because of our reactive thinking. We frequently utilize calendars and to-do lists because reactive thinking helps us focus. According to Duhigg, this is how our reactionary instincts take control and allow us to make decisions quickly. Despite the fact that this all sounds fantastic, Duhigg admits that reactive thinking has a drawback. Occasionally, our routines and responses become so powerful that they eclipse our own judgment. In a way, reactive thinking delegated the decision-making and control that in other contexts provide drive. When our drive is delegated to someone else, we just respond. Take a moment to visualize what you are going to do in as much detail as you can if you want to sharpen your attention and learn how to stay away from distractions. Knowing what is ahead is simpler when you have a well-developed mental script. Duhigg advises setting aside some time each day to envision your goals for the coming day. Imagine your day in the automobile on the way to work, including its structure and course. He advises you to reach a state of perpetual anticipation so that you never experience unpredictability or surprise. Chapter 4. Goal Setting. Duhigg highlights the significance of goal setting. Stretch and SMART goals are what he advises using. But the standards for these objectives don't have to be rigid, they are merely meant to serve as a guide. The important thing is that you have a structure in place to assist you in turning your aspirations into workable plans, and that you are driven. Although to-do lists are widely known, there are numerous applications for them. According to Duhigg, some people write down simple tasks so they can finish them fast and feel like they're working productively. He clarifies that rather than being a useful tool, this is actually ineffective and being utilized as a mood enhancer. According to Duhigg, to-do lists are essentially just lists of short-term goals, and we get satisfaction from crossing things off as we complete them. This confirms our need for resolution. We are feeding our desire for resolution and propensity to fixate on one objective without considering whether it is the appropriate one. As a result, rather than composing a lengthy, insightful memo, we spend hours responding to pointless emails because it feels so good to clear up our inbox. How can I make better use of the to-do list? It's very obvious from Duhigg's writing that making your to-do lists limited to short-term goals isn't the greatest way to work. He clarifies, though, that neither is adding a lot of stretch objectives to a list. Setting long-term objectives in writing doesn't guarantee that you'll meet them. In fact, the prospect of a goal's duration may deter you. Having a to-do list with stretch goals and SMART goals combined is one approach, according to Duhigg. Set your lofty objectives first, then expand them and determine what your ambitions are. The larger objective must then be divided into manageable, short-term actions. Think about the things you can accomplish in a day, a week, or a month. What actions are necessary to accomplish this major objective? You are placing yourself in a successful position when you divide a big goal into manageable chunks and stick to a reasonable schedule. These smaller goals are referred to as proximal goals in psychology, and numerous studies have demonstrated that breaking down a huge ambition into smaller goals increases the likelihood that the larger target will be achieved. Chapter 5. Managing Others. Duhigg considers research done in 1994 by Stanford professors Barron and Hannon. Barron and Hannon investigated 4 distinct work environments to determine which was most productive. They examined the cultures of engineering, bureaucracy, autocracy, and dedication. It became very clear that the ideal management style was one based on commitment. According to their research, the organizations with a commitment-oriented culture made more money, went public sooner, were leaner, and employed fewer middle managers. According to Duhigg, the commitment culture ultimately prevailed because there was increased trust and better relationships among all parties involved, employees, supervisors, and consumers. Workers were inspired to put in more effort and support the business and one another. Businesses who adopted the commitment culture rarely had to let go of employees and invested heavily in their professional growth. Better teamwork and psychologically safe and secure workers were the outcomes. It's not about living opulently. Duhigg shows that businesses with a commitment culture made better financial decisions rather than splurging on opulent interior design or upscale cafeterias. Typically, they provided extended maternity benefits, childcare services, and the opportunity to work remotely. Employee loyalty to the organization is maintained by happier employees as a result of these kinds of efforts. According to Duhigg, having quality staff is one of the most valuable assets, but it's also the most elusive. You are making the proper decisions if your employees are devoted and diligent. Because they developed long-lasting relationships, customers remain devoted. One of the largest hidden expenses in company, the money wasted when an employee steals customers or ideas to a rival, was avoided by commitment organizations. Chapter 6. Decision-making. According to Duhigg, making decisions is an effort to predict the future. Using private education as an example, he says that investing in your child's future means you are trying to predict a successful and opportunity-filled future for them. An essential skill for making good decisions is the capacity to predict future events. Although generating predictions about the future is necessary for sound decision-making, Duhigg notes that forecasting is never guaranteed, is not an exact science, and is frequently imprecise. As you make these predictions, you also need to be aware of your ignorance. According to Duhigg, you actually need to learn to be comfortable with ambiguity in order to make wise decisions. Uncertainty can be frightening and confronting. There are strategies to deal with it. A couple of Duhigg's strategies for handling uncertainty will be covered here. 1. The likelihood. According to Duhigg, probability is the closest thing to fortune-telling. Acquire the ability to distinguish between your desired outcome and the likelihood of it occurring. 2. Arrangements. Take into consideration your prior knowledge and established patterns before drawing any conclusions. For instance, according to lifespan patterns, the likelihood of a death is higher for the elderly than for the young. 3. Premises. It's critical to base decisions appropriately. According to Duhigg, an assumption is founded on our encounters and life experiences. He clarifies that the majority of people focus more on their accomplishments than their mistakes. It takes realism and an awareness of both achievements and mistakes to create truly sound assumptions. Chapter 7. Innovation. In today's environment, where everything appears to be happening faster than ever, innovation is more important than ever. Because there is so much going on in our lives, there is a growing and harder need for originality. Additionally, uniqueness and invention are quickly in demand. According to Duhigg, a lot of individuals spend a large portion of their time trying to figure out how to innovate and do it more quickly than ever. We'll talk about some of Duhigg's strategies for quick innovation. 1. Mixtures. The first technique that Duhigg describes involves mixing various tried and true concepts in novel and creative ways. In this manner, a portion of the labor has already been completed, and there are typically numerous combinations possible. Old conceptions can give rise to new ones. 2. Utilizing past knowledge. Because this approach is consistently so effective, anyone can innovate. Examining your own life and experiences can help you identify a potential opportunity. For instance, the Disney team used their personal experiences with sister relationships to shape Anna and Elsa's in Frozen. 3. Upsetting. You may need to break the status quo when things appear to be stuck or moving in circles. Try shifting the method you've been working or appointing a new leader to see what fresh ideas can spawn in the team. According to Duhigg, creativity isn't simple and doesn't have a formula or definition. New ideas with a feeling of spontaneity, novelty, and freshness are necessary for creativity. However, Duhigg continues, the creative process is a different story. It is within our power to establish the frameworks that foster innovation. For example, we know that combining traditional concepts with novel ideas increases the likelihood of innovation. As long as such shakeups are just the right amount, we know that occasionally a little disruption can help shake us out of the ruts that even the most inventive brains slip into. Chapter 8. Absorbing data. Thanks to the wonders of the internet, smartphones, and Google, we can find information about practically anything at any time or anywhere. But Duhigg clarifies that it's critical to recognize the difference between knowing something and just looking for an answer. According to Duhigg, for the past 20 years, there has been a tremendous inflow of knowledge into our lives. Our cell phones are capable of tracking our sleep patterns, calorie counting, and step counts. All of this information was simply unavailable to us in the past. According to Duhigg, all of the data and information look to be assets that may make you more organized, productive, healthier, etc. But occasionally, when there seems to be too much going on, we may misuse the knowledge and become a hindrance. Theoretically, the constant flow of new information ought to highlight the correct responses. In actuality, though, having data all around you frequently makes decision-making more difficult. Information blindness is the phrase used by Duhigg to describe the inability to utilize and capitalize on data. He clarifies that this occurs because of the shift in how we learn. As long as the information is divided up into manageable chunks, our bodies are made to process it quickly. Our brain breaks down vast amounts of information into smaller parts so that it can be absorbed. This process results in knowledge. On the other hand, humans find it difficult to analyze options when faced with vast amounts of information. Our minds go back to making a basic decision: should I try to make sense of this massive amount of information or should I just ignore it? It's not all awful though. Duhigg describes a method for overcoming information blindness. He goes on to say that you must train your brain to turn any knowledge you are able to absorb into a sequence of queries or options. You will need to put in some effort during this process. You must evaluate the information you are learning and make decisions rather than disregarding it. For instance, if a variety of insurance plans are offered to you, you will need to determine which of the plans is more important by comparing them. Consider what you could give up and where you most need cover. We become so involved in the information that we hardly even realize it's happening. Learning requires interaction with the material. make comparisons, pose questions, and formulate hypotheses on possible results. Mastering the ability to reframe choices is another crucial skill. According to Duhigg, once a decision is taken, it might be difficult to reverse. Your preconceived decision obscures your vision. You have to push yourself to find a different angle if you want to alter your viewpoint. You must actively work with your brain to reframe your choices since it prefers to keep things easy. Offering a formal decision-making system that deprives our brains of the easy choices we crave, like a flowchart, a set of predetermined questions, or the engineering design process, is one of the finest ways to assist individuals in viewing things in a new perspective. We learn from systems how to compel ourselves to appear unfamiliar with questions. It helps one see other options. Thanks for joining me on this journey through Smarter, Faster, Better by Charles Duhigg. If you're feeling inspired to boost your productivity, consider picking up a copy of the book to delve deeper into these 8 key concepts. In the meantime, let me know in the comments below which concept resonated most with you, and how will you start implementing it in your own life.